We are starting a series with Barry, and I'm sure he's going to tell us all about it in a moment. Winter market, winter months, they're here. How do we deal with them? Does anything change? Conversations, are they different? Hey, Barry.
Hey guys, how's it going? The Meskula team has been working on kind of collecting, Manuel, as you know, because you're a part of it, some of the pain points that some of you guys are facing, and really excited to dive into some of those things today. I hope you had a successful week. If you guys are like my other agents on my team, you're grinding it out, you're doing the work. And first, let me say that my team's approach to this time of year, October, November, December, most consumers are going to tell you they're waiting until the first of the year. A lot of people are going to say that. And so some things that we say about this time of year, when it comes to selling, people might say, well, should I wait until after the holidays? We've always taken the approach that most people wait until after the holidays because there's less buyers during the holidays. And you also have a unique opportunity as a seller. Because there are less sellers and less buyers, you get to be the shiny new toy in a market where there's not many new listings. And so it's one of those things where, just like December 21st, wrapping paper is expensive because they know you're going to buy it. January 1st, they put that same wrapping paper on sale because nobody wants to buy it. And so it's all about timing. And if you're in a market where there's low inventory, which represents most markets across the country, you have an opportunity to be a new listing in a sea of old listings. And so it's a fantastic opportunity to try to take advantage of a new listing in a market where everything is stale. So you want to take advantage of that as a potential seller and strategize with me as the agent or you as the agent to come up with a price that is aggressive and really shows that you're the hot new listing in a market where everything else is aged and people are just kind of waiting to die on the vine for the listing to expire. Another thing when it comes to buyers will say, so for example, you get a seller lead and they say, well, thank you for the home value. I'm going to wait until the first of the year. One of the things you can do, remember, I try to teach you guys, when you're getting a CMA, most people are going to tell you they're not really looking yet. They're not looking to move yet. And when you talk to them and say, well, are you staying in the area? You're thinking about moving across town? And they tell you, get to tell them, look, it's the holiday. There's not as many buyers right now. And you have an opportunity as a buyer to possibly find something with a little bit less competition. Something that's on the market might not have as many offers. And so what you guys are seeing me do is kind of the whole methodology of zig when they zag, right? If everybody's going to the right, you have an opportunity to go to the left and position yourself well. So as a seller, you can be the shiny new toy. As a buyer, you get to have a little bit less activity. And in my 25-year career, the best month I ever had in my entire career as a solo agent was 23 sales in the month of December, because I actually believed what I just told you guys. I believed that as a buyer, it puts you in a competitive edge to buy when other people aren't considering buying. And people bought into that, and it worked great. The only caveat I would say is I would avoid listing the week of Thanksgiving and the week of Christmas. So outside of those 2 weeks, it's not a strategically great idea to list during those weeks, but outside of those 2 weeks, freaking go for it. The other thing I would say about this time of year that I really want to make sure I hit home, most agents take some time off during this time of year. And look, I tell my agents this all the time. I want you to take some time off. I think it's fantastic. What I don't want you to do is take a month or two off. And you might laugh and say, I'm not taking a month or two off. Okay, well, if we look in January at what you did in November and December, you kind of took a couple months off. Meaning you went and got that pumpkin spice latte at Starbucks and sat with friends instead of prospecting. It's subtle, right? It's a very subtle change into how you approach your business. People tend to ease off. January and February are coming, right? Those months are coming. And historically, those months are very hard for real estate agents. The burnout and the holiday hangover financially hits people and they really struggle. And I used to believe the lie that real estate was feast or famine. I used to believe that some months are fantastic, some months aren't. Until one day I just decided I was tired of living that way. I don't want to live a feast or famine lifestyle. And the way out of that feast or famine lifestyle is consistency. So during this time of year, I take it as an opportunity to gain market share. Other agents are taking months off. Other agents are backing off. Other agents believe the objection of waiting until the first of the year. You can't believe that. If you decide that that's a good choice, when the lead says to you, yeah, thanks, but waiting until the first of the year. Oh yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. Okay, yeah, wait till the first of the year. And you're just like, okay, don't do that. When they tell you they're waiting until the first of the year, I want you to press into that objection. How did you decide waiting until the first of the year? What factors did you consider in deciding you were waiting until the first of the year? Not always, because every once in a while you're going to get an engineer or an architect or a scientist that is very pragmatic and they've got really good reasons why they're waiting. You're always going to have a couple of those. Okay, so I'm going to set that person aside. That's a whole different discussion. Most people, you're going to hear them say things like, I'm not, it's a big process and busy with the holiday. They do not have a good reason. If it wasn't the holidays, it would be the election. If it wasn't the election, it would be a war. If it wasn't the war, it would be interest rates. If it wasn't interest rates, it would be the economy. Really what they're telling you is they're just overwhelmed. And for a lot of you, when you hear them push you away, you're so insecure and you're so focused on getting strangers to like you, and you don't press in. And I say this a lot, but I need you guys, especially when the market is challenging, especially during the winter months, you've got to press into those challenges. You've got to press into those objections. You've got to be a curious, passionate teacher. You have to do it. If you don't do this, you are not influencing your clients in the way that is best for them. It's good advice to consider selling during the holidays because there's not a lot of other listings. It's good advice to consider buying because there's not as many buyers. I'm not saying they have to do it. I'm saying they should consider it. They should review the numbers with you because there's a really good reason for it. And pushing into the fact that people take weeks off during this time of year. I'm not saying a week, I'm saying weeks. 2-3 weeks. So you can't let off the gas right now. In fact, I would argue that November through February are those 4 months, which represents a third of the year, are the months that set you up for the following year. And so we all get tired. You've got the leads in your CRM. You're looking at them. Some of them you call 3 times, no answer. You get discouraged. You get in your head, oh, I'm bothering these people. And you know what? In some ways you are bothering them. In some ways they don't want to talk to you. They registered, they walked into your office, your digital office, entered your CRM. But a lot of them, they don't know that you're valuable. They think your job is DoorDash, not literally DoorDash. See, they think they're not ready to talk to you until they're ready to put in their order. That's why I use DoorDash as the analogy. Yes, can you come over at 4 o'clock on Saturday to stick a sign in the yard? And they click in the app, right? DoorDash. If they're a buyer lead, they think they're not ready to talk to you until they're ready to say, can you go show me the home tomorrow at 3 o'clock? I'm serious, guys. The people that you talk to and are pushing you away, they're pushing you away because they fundamentally misunderstand your role. The greatest value you bring the public when it comes to real estate is helping dreamers, people that think they're far off becoming planners. You're the bridge between thinking one day and actually starting to map it out. But if you start believing that it's the holidays and, I'm not ready, you're going to say things like, oh, okay, no problem. I'll send you some information. Do you mind if I call you in a couple months after the holidays? You're going to mark a task in your CRM. You're just going to remind yourself, well, it's the holiday. People just aren't ready to buy yet. I'll call them in January. And some of you are going to call those people in January and they'll never answer again. Some of you are going to call people in January and they've already bought or sold with another agent. You see, I was that agent. People would tell me they're waiting and I would have compassion on them and I would say, why? What are you waiting for? How did you decide you're waiting? Not because I was trying to overcome an objection. Remember, if you know my story, I was never formally trained as a salesperson. I didn't even learn what an objection handler was until like 2018. And I already been in the business for 17 years. I was at a little indie brokerage. I had no training. I was just a guy with a heart to teach that happened to like being able to pay his bills. And so what I'm telling you has been born out of experience. And sociology is a science on humans. And there are sociological facts about somebody that decides to check and get a value on their home. There are things in their heads they're considering, either considering cashing out their equity. Not a lot of people are doing that right now, but that could be something that they're doing. Somebody that goes through the formal registration process to get their home value typically is considering long-term planning. And as soon as they talk to you, the aversion and the reason they're not calling you back, the reason they want to get off the phone is because they think you're the sign installer. And you need to put extra care into telling them that that's not your fundamental role. You are here to help them map out their plan. Now, something I've told my agents to do is use an extreme timeline. But when they say they're not ready, use an extreme number. Like, oh yeah, no, I'm sure you're not ready to sell for 3 or 4 years. Right? Push it really far out. What you'll hear some of them do is say, oh, well, I'm not going to wait 3 to 4 years, maybe 6 months. Right? So they actually start moving you up. But the other impact of pushing it really far, I'm sure you're not ready to sell for 3 or 4 years, is you're calming them down. When you're nervous, you're not in a position to learn. You're in your fight or flight status of your brain. When you're calm, you're in a position to learn. So by telling them, oh yeah, you're not ready for a long time, you are confronting that mindset of this is a DoorDash, this is a sign installer. They want to come over and sell my house next weekend, right? But when you come in with a wise planning and preparation vibe, people are going to start to listen to you. And the second they see value in you being their teacher, you've got them. Because then you get to say things like, in my professional opinion, this is what you should be doing next. So when you talk to these people, and they're pushing you away and you press into their objection and you say, well, how did you decide that? That's interesting. I'm so glad to hear you're waiting a year. I'm so glad to hear you're waiting until the first of the year. It sounds like you're taking this process really seriously. I want you to know I value that, and I love working with people that are taking things seriously. They don't expect you to affirm them. They expect you to disagree with them. When they say rates are too high, I don't want to move, they expect you to say, well, there's a way to buy rates down. We can make it better. Right? They're expecting you to try to sell them. And then you say to them, you're right, rates are high. Tell me why you're moving. What are you considering? What do you want to change about where you live? What's your story? What has you considering moving at all with rates as high as they are? What would be the scenario that would have you want to move? And then they start telling you. It's very disarming. And then you tell them that for us, the way we're getting inside of people's homes, still to this day, something I've been telling on a couple of different sessions with you guys. I'm so glad you're not ready. I know that it's going to be another year. I don't want you wasting money fixing things that aren't going to give you a return on investment. I need to do a 30-minute walkthrough of your home. And I know you're not ready. I know that you think you need to prep before I come. I would really, really ask you not to get ready for me. I want you to leave the home exactly how it is so that I can give you the benefit of my experience so that you can plan out what repairs. And candidly, the normal outcome, Mr. Seller, is you think you need to fix 10 things. I'm probably going to tell you to fix 3. I'm going to become your best friend because I'm going to help you strategize and reduce what you thought you had to do. You're nervous, so you're going to overdo it. You're going to invest all this money into this home, and you're not going to see a return on investment. All right, let me pause for a second because I want to strike a balance between adding value, motivating you, teaching new scripts, and also giving you an opportunity to digest what I'm telling you. Right. So you're hearing me talk about strategies of mindset, scripting, and process. I want to hear from you guys how you're making this your own. What's the self-talk you're saying to yourself during this session? Are you saying it's not going to work? This is your chance to talk to me about it. And you know what? Maybe it won't work for your market, but I'm not in your market. And so unless you talk to me about it, I'm not going to be able to help you. Maybe you tried what I said and maybe you haven't had success. This is where you talk about it. Maybe you're using it and it is working. I'd love to hear about it. It's working for my team. But I know real estate's hyper local. So this is a moment in time. I want to give just a space for you to unmute and for you to say, this is what's working. This is what's not working. Does anybody on the call have any questions, any feedback, any response? This is your moment.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, how you doing? So this week I booked an appointment. I'm going to see you this afternoon at 1:30, and I use exactly your scripts. It's where are you moving to? And then I said, so, you may not be ready for a year or two, but, that's when I'm most helpful because I help people ahead of time. It turned out it's a place that I know quite well. So we talked about it, how beautiful it is. That's where I provide the most value to plan for it. So, she was quite open and she ended up saying, yeah, sure, come by at 1:30 on Friday. So I'm going to go at 1:30 this afternoon. So
Rick, I got to tell you, man, you've got this smooth way about you, right? Like you're not trying to push anybody. You're just you've got a great presence. And so I'm thrilled that you're using the scripts. And it sounds, I'm going to make an assumption based on what you've said. You're using my scripts, but you're using them in a way that makes sense for you. You're listening to the client and you're applying them. And so the world is made up of people that have lots of great ideas and lack execution. You, my friend, are someone that's not one of those people. You hear an idea and you're executing on it and you're going to remain successful as a result. So great job. I'm thrilled to hear that it's working for you, and it won't be the last. I guarantee it.
Oh, I know. I actually, I also have been a productivity coach at Keller Williams for a few years.
The truth comes out. Okay.
So I've got a little bit of background. So I've taught lots of scripts, and I use lots of different scripts in different situations. But I like some of the scripts I picked up and learned here so far. So it's great.
So guys, I want to really extract that. Thank you, Rick, for sharing some of your story. What we just heard is someone that teaches others how to be productive in their business, right? And anybody who is a teacher, and I'm going to include myself in this, when you hear an idea you think might work, one of the things about people that do something in life is when they hear an idea, they execute on it. People used to ask me back in 2016, aren't you afraid of putting all your ideas on YouTube? Aren't you afraid of doing all these webinars, teaching the public how to make money in real estate? And I said this in 2016, and I stay true to this. I wasn't worried about it then. I'm still not worried about it because I really don't think generally people hear ideas and they execute on them. So congratulations, Rick, on being one of the people that hears an idea that you said, you know what, this makes sense. I'm going to apply it. And you did it. And I'm sure Rick, in your experience as a productivity coach, you probably sow a lot of seed and not everybody listens, right? So, and you're not amongst that group. So that's fantastic. All right, anybody else? You don't have to have an amazing story like Rick. I hope you do. But you're listening to me talk. Do you need help connecting the dots in what's being discussed right now? So you get off this call, you open the Meskula platform, you're in your CRM, it's time to call leads. What's going on in your mind?
I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but for the last week or so, we've been having more and more conversations with Lovepreet. This is Lovepreet's first year in real estate. We've probably been live for about a month now with Lovepreet. She's had a few conversations. Lovepreet, I'm not sure if you want to share anything any conversations that you've had so far, any struggles or any conversations that you feel like, hey, it was a good combo. And I also see Anna has her hand up. So Lovepreet, were you going to say something? I see you unmuted yourself.
Okay, not a question. It's just the proof that what Barry says works. I just had a conversation. I was not going to ask this, and I was just going to not telling you this. I had another question. But anyway, I'm giving you a tip. Remember that you said a couple weeks ago that the agents can call back saying that they wanted to apologize for the assistant. Okay. I just had a horrible call with the lead that one of my agents asked me to. And I said, he hung up on me. And he was like, oh my God, what a bitch. So the point is, I said, no, wait. Call her to apologize for the piece of crap that you have as an assistant. Call her, apologize for me. And he was like, no, I don't want that kind of person as a client. I said, no, call her. Barry said that it's a good tactic to call back just to apologize. Okay. He was like, really? I said, yeah, you should call her right now and apologize for me. Throw whatever you want to throw on me and say that you're going to fire me right now because I was such a dumb person. Okay. And he just texted me right now that he had an in-person appointment for next Wednesday.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, for those of you that don't know the background of this story, what I was saying is, in our culture, generally speaking, people don't take time to apologize. And that there's a lot of leads. They're professional, they're busy, they've got lots of money. And if they think they're dealing with a robot or a ISA calling them, they'll say, stop, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. If the business owner calls that lead and says, hey, I wanted to apologize, my assistant bothered you. I saw you texted back stop, or I got a note that you were really concerned. I just want to let you know we're not going to bother you anymore, and my sincerest apology. It is so disarming to have someone apologize that there will be people, to Anna's point, that respond and say things like, I thought it was a robot, or you know what, I really appreciate you taking the time to say that while I'm here, right? I also want to add is if you get a negative review on Google or Yelp, it is a fantastic opportunity to think of a well thought out reply to that specific negative review. Now, why do I say that? Anybody else can't be the only one that when they're considering a business, they start with the negative reviews, right? You see where I'm going. I want to see what people are saying negatively about this business. And when I see a negative review and I see the owner reply in a logical, compassionate way, where they're not just like, well, screw you, I hate you, I don't want to, they say, John, I did my best by you. Here are the 3 things I tried to do. I know it didn't work for you. I'm sincerely sorry. If you'd ever like to jump on a call and talk it out, I'm here for you. I want the best for you and your family. Here's my cell phone number. Personally, when I see 10 5-star reviews and one negative review, I know that more than likely that negative review was an extreme, but I'm going to read your reply. So it's no different. And that actually is a scientific fact that people are going to read, sociologically, people are going to read negative reviews first. And when they see a business owner respond favorably to the negative review, it does have a compelling impact on them. Now, if it's all negative reviews, sorry for your luck. I mean, it doesn't matter what you say. Everybody thinks you're horrible, so they're not going to. But if you have like a couple and you responded favorably, you're actually going to move the needle positively in your business versus negatively. So, Anna, thank you for sharing that. I bet there's a few people on here that just learned.
It works.
Yeah, no, that's great. Lovepreet, I hope I pronounced your name right, just commented, look, hey, I got to make more calls. And I mean, isn't that true of all of us? We all got to make more calls. And I want to tell you something else I told my team. I feel such a sense of purpose and destiny during this market, during this period, because I didn't have anybody in my corner in 2008. When the market crashed, I just kept, up until from 2001 to 2008, I stuck a sign in the yard and I would get 5 to 7 sign calls. Everybody wanted to buy a home because the money was just so easy to get. And so from 2008 to 2009, I just kept doing it, right? I kept kept saying yes to listings, even though I knew they weren't going to sell, because I was going to stick the signs in the yard and hopefully I would get leads. And I just kind of like stayed at it. And I didn't have anybody trying to help me open up my eyes. And so I feel such a sense of purpose right now for agents across the country, because I want you to know that even though the market's hard, that this is an opportunity for you to gain market share. I don't want anybody to leave the business, but I do know that people are going to leave the business. Treasury yield bonds, which is a bond through the United States government, just went over 5%, which means people are putting money in treasury bonds to get that interest. Historically, anytime treasury bonds interest is high, mortgage rates are absorbently high. I do think that we've got another 6 months to another year of high rate. Home prices won't go down unless lots of people lose their jobs. I hope I'm wrong, okay? I don't want any negative to happen. But I'm telling you, after 25 years of experience, I think that this is going to be the way things are. You could choose to complain about it. You could talk about the glory days when the market was easier. Or you could be among the few that have a sense of destiny and purpose to say, you know what? I'm scared of these leads. When I call them, I'm nervous. I'm afraid they're going to reject me. But I'm going to learn how to ask good questions and master these conversations. I'm going to actually take this challenge and get stronger. Anybody that looks at the market the way that it is and decides, you know what, I'm getting more no's, so I've got to just try to talk to more people. I'm getting more no's, I'm going to learn how to handle those no's more effectively to see if I can get some maybes and yeses out of those initial no's, right? Anybody who decides to stop focusing on their ego and being consumed with getting strangers to like us and focus on the consumer's need. So when they say, I don't want to talk to you, instead of being crushed, I hear you. I don't want to talk to salespeople either, but I understand you wanted a home value. So I'm calling because you asked me for help. That's why I'm here. I know you don't want to talk to me, but you asked me for help. And so I want to hear more about your story. What are you looking to do? So anybody who presses into the objection, instead of being crushed by it, you press into it. You seek to understand their story. When you do this over and over and over again, you learn how to walk through the minefield of these phone calls. And just like in the gym, you gain muscle, right? You start to exercise and people look at you and they say, hey, what are you doing? How did you do it? People are going to look at you and say, how are you staying consistent in business? The market's bad. And you and I know it's going to be because you never gave up. You're afraid, you're uncomfortable, and you sat in that discomfort. And this is what I want to leave you guys with. Many times we work in a silo, we work alone, and we're left to our own thoughts. And what's hard about trying to become successful is we normally fail most often. All of us fail more than we succeed. And we get inside our head during these winter months and we think it's, now I can't speak for you, but for me, the secret enemy for me when I'm failing is shame and guilt. I feel a sense of like, I should be doing more. I'm not good enough. You know, my business is failing. And that starts to really mess with me because I start to think it's me. I'm the problem. But I want you to know that failure is your friend. That failure is your teacher. Failure is the stepping stone to the place that you want to go in the business. So I just want to leave you guys with a sense of purpose in your failures. I want you to get off this call and I want you to celebrate the fact that if you're failing, it means you're alive. It means you're doing something, that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. There's not a misstep in your career just because you're failing. Your failures are the opportunity you've been waiting for. You just need to not give up. It's always darkest before the sun comes up. And in life and in business, many times, it's the most challenging seasons of our life that open up the biggest doors of our life. And we can't even see it. We're not aware of it. But I'm telling you, as a leader in this industry, I'm speaking authoritatively to you right now. I want you to make those dials. I want you to face failure with a sense of purpose. And I just don't want you to give up. Because if you give up, that is failure. You'll be one of the ones that stops Meskula or stops the real estate industry and you tell your friends, I tried real estate, it just wasn't for me. You need to understand that that's a decision that you're making, that you're not a victim to this market. You can't control the circumstances that presented in your life. All you can control is how you respond to them. So choose wisely. All right. I'll see you guys next Friday. And Karen just shared something about Google reviews. So grab that in the chat. That looks really interesting on getting more Google reviews. I like to get them after they go under contract, not after they close. Just a little tip there. When you win in multiple offers or you get the offer and the seller's like, oh my gosh, you got my offer? Get the review then. Don't get the review after the mortgage company beat them over the head for compliance and the buyer asked for repairs and everybody's mad at each other. Don't wait until then. Do it in the middle when they still love you. All right? Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.